All right, so starting off with, obviously Jordyn had a pretty big night, with that, especially with the kind of toe tap second touchdown. How do you kind of evaluate that versus the high expectations you have for him?
Yeah, man. I was excited, for the win, of course. You're never going to feel sorry about the win. But was it our best game? No, it wasn't. For JT, statistically it was great, but, we had a false start. We had a fumble. I mean, those are rookie mistakes, I just try to tell him, man, for him being one of our go-to players, man, like we're leaning on you at each and every time. And the play that he jumped on, that ball was actually going to go to him. I said, that could have possibly been another touchdown. So he's hard on himself, so I don't really have to get hard. But collectively as a group, I just thought it was a little sloppy, but that's what the first game's really about. We don't get preseason games. You go out thinking that you want to be flawless and everything want to go good, but it just doesn't happen that way. We just got to continue to come back, work. I can tell you that overall as a group, they were excited about the win, but they weren't excited about their performance. They felt like they still could have done better, and that's encouraging. That's to be able to understand and self-reflect and look at kind of your part and what did you do to help contribute to the win. I can tell you none of those guys were satisfied. So that's what I like. They came out here with purpose. We put 2 good days of work in, Tuesday and Wednesday, and now looking forward to another challenge going into a tough environment. Mississippi State, who we beat pretty good last year, they're going to be up for this game. So it's going to be a good test for us to go down there and see what we can do on the road.
You mentioned the ball start from Tyson and penalties kind of racked up for you guys on the offensive side of the ball. How do you kind of go from that game and kind of getting out a lot of those sloppy mistakes to minimizing that going forward on the road game?
Just point of emphasis, just detailing it up, doing a lot of blocking drills, making sure we reset and get our hands inside. For JT, he's going to have to get hit. That's been the problem. He missed majority of spring ball. We kept him out a lot just to try to get him to the season, and then he finally gets hit, and then he fumbles the football a little bit. So it's just a matter of just getting back to the basics, getting back to the fundamentals and stuff like that. And really, collectively as a group, as a team, that's what we did. Just went back and worked. And that's the one thing about Kenny. He doesn't overreact with good wins or bad wins or whatever. It's just about putting your head down, continuing to work. And that's what we did last year, and that's what we're going to continue to do this year.
Who do you think's the guy that's going to step up over these next 2?
I hope all the guys step up. You want everybody to go out there and make plays. As a coach, you just want to make sure you do your part to make sure you prepare them, give them all the tools they need to be successful. And at the end of the day, they got to go out there and make plays. Like I said, last year, we have a veteran group of guys. Melquan, X. This year, really, JT. He's the only guy that got a lot of playing experience, and Malik, has came on pretty strong, but he doesn't have a lot of game time experience. So we're still looking for that second guy to kind of step up and be, one of the go-to guys. And I think we got a bunch of guys on the verge of that. It's just a matter of building consistency, and when they're out there, they're consistently being in the right spot and making plays.
Goes Malik.
Touchdown that JT caught where he's kind of looking over his back over his shoulder. What was the degree of difficulty?
That's pretty tough. We do that every day, though. You watch any of our drills, we go pack and go. We start practice off with that same drill. And that's why I'm a stickler. It's quality over quantity. When you do get your rep, make sure it's a full rep, and being able to take the drill to the field, that's really what he did. We do that every day to where it just becomes second nature. It's muscle memory for him. So he's just, he's bought into everything we've been preaching to him, and he's excelling at it. He still can grow. It's really just being about, being a pro to the game now. Is being a leader, being the guy that hold everybody accountable for their actions and stuff. So he's just going to continue to grind. We're just going to continue staying on him on the little things, harping over the details and stuff. So, for JT, we can't afford to JT can't have a bad game. He's our playmaker. So I'm very hard on the little things, the false starts, the fumbles, being getting his right depth on all the routes, But the good players that I know, they want to be coached. They never want to feel like they've made it. So that's one thing JT knows I'm not about excuses. He's out here working every day, and that's what I respect about him.
Of course, JT got the lion's share of the targets there. How do you see the rest of the room? Stay engaged in the game, maybe when the balls aren't flying their way.
Well, you better stay ready, so you don't have to get ready. I tell them all the time, find a way. Yes, JT's going to get majority of our catches. Deservingly so. Why wouldn't you try to give him the ball? But other guys have been open. Malik caught a huge bomb, but it got called back, because the effort of our O-line was just down there. He thought the ball was gone, so he was just running down, covering the pass. And it's just we got to clean up some of the details and stuff like that. But our guys aren't discouraged by the attempts that they're getting. I just say, hey, man, when it's your attempt, let's get ready to make a play. And all of our guys, they're up for the challenge.
Obviously, Jaren Hamilton was listed as a starter for Week 1. Only saw the field a couple of times on Saturday. How close, you mentioned him being a guy that used to being close to get like a number 2 guy. How close do you think he is to kind of getting one?
Jaren's close. He's close, but you got to know your playbook. If you don't know all the plays, you're a liability. I can't put you out there and you're not sure what you got. So I got to do a better job, which, just finding ways to help him have a better understanding. And I told him, man, it's just like your favorite song, right? If you know all the lyrics to it, how do you know all the lyrics to your favorite song? Because you listen to it every day. Well, you got to treat the same way in your playbook. You got to listen to that playbook every day. It eventually will click. You just can't look at the plays and then come out here and go and practice. You got to do it when you're doing your homework, when you're sitting at home. You got to do it, all the time. And eventually, you'll get used to it. And then now you'll do less thinking and more reacting. And for me, I'm not going to put a kid out there. One, if I don't think he's ready mentally with the playbook, and also, physically. So for me and Jaren, just, a matter of just putting some more time and stressing the sense of urgency that you got to put more time in this playbook so you know what you got. It's just to gain the trust of, one, the coaching staff, but to also gain the trust of the quarterbacks. But if you're not in the right spot all the time, I can guarantee you Sam will not throw you the ball. So we got to just make sure we put in the time, just understand the playbook a little more. And he'll get some opportunities. He's an explosive player. I got to do a better job getting him in the game. But we had a lot of checks going into those games. So we were checking in and out of plays, and I wasn't sure if he kind of knew all the checks. So I didn't want to put him out there in a bad situation just yet.
Coach, Malik was a guy that flashed last Saturday despite the penalties that called back his big plays. Just what have you noticed about him that's different this year, and how do you think last year him sitting kind of helped him?
Yeah, one, I think it helped him have a better understanding of our playbook. Two, this is his last year, so a sense of urgency of the way his mindset and approach to practice each and every day has changed. One thing about Malik from last year, Malik is a worker, man. He comes here each and every day with purpose of getting better. And you're starting to see the trust that Sam is starting to gain in him. He's going to have some opportunity to make some plays, just that one play got called back. And he was open on some other plays, So we had a lot of guys open on some plays. So it's just a matter of, hey, just keeping them mentally focused, getting dialed in, so when his number is called, he'll rise to the occasion and continue doing what he's been doing, making plays.